All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, Skype, Twitter, MySpace, Facebook, and every other social media site. One easy address, X Zone Radio TV. And, of course, our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And if you'd like to listen to any of the past shows, www.podcast.com. X Zone Nation, my two guests this hour are two ladies who've written an incredible book. It's entitled She, a celebration of greatness in every woman. And my guests are Mary Ann Radmacher and Liz Kalloch. And, ladies, first of all, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Liz, how did you and Marianne meet, and why did you decide to collaborate on a book entitled She, a celebration of greatness in every woman?
We met about 12 years ago, not in person, but I was working as an art director for a gift publishing company, and she was one of the licensed artists, so we started a working relationship, me as the art director and designer, and she as the artist, and it kind of grew into more projects, and then we got to be friends on the phone, and you know how relationships just keep building,
Sure.
And we kept looking for projects to work on together, and we came up with a line of cards that began as She, and then morphed into the book that we have now.
You know, I think it's about time that women started getting the recognition that they so rightfully deserve. You see, I'm one of those guys who believe that whenever a woman has led a country, the country has done extremely well. Well, except in the case of our Prime Minister, Kim Campbell, who lasted, I think it was about 6 months, and then Canada, men and women got fed up with her. But, you know, throughout history, you've got Cleopatra. You've got Mary, Queen of Scots. You've got Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria. You have Margaret Thatcher. And not to mention the modern-day heroes, Hillary Clinton, Madeleine Albright, and Maya Steen. So, you know, it's about time. And do you see that this book is at the most pivotal time of recognition of women in today's society?
We feel that it is coming in the perfect time, Rob, because International Women's Day just passed, and that was fundamentally started by mothers in Sonoma County, California, who were disturbed that when their daughters opened their history books, yes, they read about the women that you just named, because those are the big name female leaders in history.
Sure.
But all of the other women in the history books they're absent. They're remarkably absent. And in the history of your own country and in America, the women that made all of the great shifts in our culture are left off the pages of the history book. And it's time that it's not his story or her story. It's time that we begin telling our collective stories.
You know, I agree with you 100%. And history is one of the biggest fairy tale books I've ever come across. For example, Christopher Columbus did not discover the Americas. We all know that today. You know, but men have the ego where they're not going to admit they're wrong. God, we don't even like taking directions in a car from our wives. You know?
It makes me laugh, Rob, because what about discovering the places that Columbus landed that were entirely occupied already, that gave him the opportunity to say, since this is the first time I'm seeing it, I must have been the one to discover it.
Well, once again, there's a male ego at work. It's the women. It's the women, in my opinion, and I'm going to probably get thousands of emails on this one, that rule the world. The women are the success story behind the man. Take example, Bill Clinton. He didn't think he had enough. He didn't have enough with Hillary, so he thought Monica would help him out. But we all know how that ended. And here's a question for you ladies, because you both live in the United States, and I've got to take my break very shortly. When Hillary wins the election, they move into the White House. Does that mean that Bill becomes the first lady?
I think he'd become the first man, right?
That's right.
The first man for what? That's the question. I don't think Bill's got any first left. Ladies, you and I have to take a commercial break. We've got to take a commercial break. I want to hear this response when we come back on the other side of this 2-minute break. X-Zone Nation. We're talking about a new book that is coming out just in time to help men. Let's target this one for men. To better understand the women, the name is She, Celebration of Greatness in Every Woman. And I'll be back on the other side of this 2-minute break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Sirius Satellite Network. My name is Rob McConnell. Whatever you do, don't go away. We'll be right back. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled lite.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man song.
He's the man. He's the man.
I don't take no crap from anybody else but you. I wear the pants around here when I finish with your laundry. Cause I'm a guy you don't want to fight. When I say jump, you say yeah right. I'm the man of this house until you get home.
He's the man. He's the man.
What I say goes around here right out the window. And I don't want to hear a lot of whining, so I'll shut up. The sooner you learn who's boss around here, the sooner you can give me my orders, dear. Because I'm head honcho around here, but it's all in my head.
He's the man. He's the man.
And I can have sex anytime that you want. Because I'm a man who has needs, but they're not that important. And don't expect any flowers from me, because if I'm not mistaken, you prefer jewelry. I'm the king of my castle when you're not around.
He's the man. He's the man.
And I'll drink and watch sports whenever I want to get in trouble. And I'll come home when I'm good and ready to sleep on the couch. Cause a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do, and I'm gonna do what you tell me to, because I'm top dog around here, but I've been neutered.
He's the man. He's the man. You the man.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. We're talking to two ladies who've written a very interesting book. It's just out in time for the month that celebrates the women. And I may have joked around, but I'm serious. We don't call it Father Earth. We call it Mother Earth. Mothers nurture. Mothers bring us up. Mothers are our guys' first love. And mothers play a very important part in our lives.
And mothers teach teamwork and collaboration and cooperation, and that's what this book is about, Rob. And while we can laugh at a song like that, the book espouses a distinctive style of acceptance and cooperation, not only among women but among all people. And I wanted to say, in regard to the Bill and Hillary Clinton model, that she, as a book, supports the concept that our history brings us to where we are, but our history does not define us. And Hillary Rodham Clinton and Bill Clinton are a power couple that have chosen to exceed their history and make profound differences in the world that they work in every day. And that is a true model of collaboration and forgiveness. And there's a lot to be learned there.
But it's a two-way street, like a lot of people don't realize that communication is the basis of every relationship, and if you're not willing to talk and listen and communicate, I don't care who the couple are, it's just not going to work.
Abigail Adams sent John Adams back to the Continental Congress saying, "Don't forget the ladies, John."
That's right.
And John said, "What, Abigail?" And she said, "We need the vote." And John Adams' response was, "Abigail, women already run the world. If we gave you the vote, what would men have?"
Very true.
So long ago, and yet it's topical today, isn't it?
It sure is. We're talking about your book. It's entitled "She, a Celebration of Greatness in Every Woman." And how is it that you associate things like balance and contentment with the greatness in a woman? These qualities don't seem to equate to what we think when we consider greatness.
No, and I think that, when in general, our society has made it the equivalent of greatness to, the grand gestures and the grand statements and rising up in whatever field you've chosen to work in, and the people that we admire have great qualities, but there's quieter qualities that are just as great, like contentment, like being able to welcome people into your home or into a new job, being of balance, being of service to your friends, to your family, to your coworkers. It's we tried to create a good balance of the things that we do think of as greatness and the quieter things that are equally as great.
Who did you write this book for? Who is your audience?
We, in addition to the 25 women that we directed the love letter in the book and the qualities and invited them to contribute, this book is meant to be an encouragement for women who manage so many roles in a single day, who feel overwhelmed, who wonder if they're enough at work, at home, in their community. They need a book that says, "Look at you. Aren't you amazing? Let me be the positive voice in your experience that says, you're doing a great job and you're fantastic in all of your levels of glory, just the way you are."
So how did you get to these 25 women? How many letters did you send out? How many Why? What was the process for the selection of the 25 women that you featured?
23 of the women are women that either both of us know or have worked with or been in touch with, or that we know individually. And then there were 2 others that are role models, which are Secretary Clinton and Secretary Albright. But they were women that were specifically chosen after Marian and I talked through the qualities and then through the women that we would potentially ask to contribute, that we felt that they best represented the quality that they were chosen to write about.
So you've got these 25 people who are basically mentoring the reader?
That's right. And the role of mentoring is so important in any living human's life, because it means there is someone who has gone before you, has been a pathfinder and a waylayer, and they're paving the way so that you don't have to feel as if you're inventing every new strategy required in your life.
So I'm trying to understand the concept of why someone would go out and buy this book. Does this mean that the person who is that you're targeting needs the extra pat on the back, needs the extra inspiration, needs to hear that they're important? Are we trying to raise them socially? Are we trying to raise them psychologically? What are we trying to do here?
Well, I think, one part of it is, yes, it is a source of encouragement and to raise people up. I think that we don't always take the time to stop and praise someone for a job well done, to tell a woman that she's an amazing mother. And so the book is meant to be something that a woman can sit down, or potentially a man can sit down and read and feel like, oh, wow, I so relate to this. And it's making me feel, buoyed, and like I just had a bad day and I feel so much better.
Now, all right, I'm following you here, and I understand. How are these mentoring, or how are these 25 people, how do they get their message across? Like, for example, Hillary Clinton. How does Hillary Clinton present a message to the reader?
Do you mean in general or in our book, Rod?
In your book.
Well, the contribution that is featured from Secretary Clinton in our book was taken from one of her speeches. Secretary Clinton was leaving her office when we were in the process of preparing this book, so she did not have the opportunity to create something specifically for us. Her message is one of resourcefulness, and that we need to create a sense of community and collaboration among all people in order to move forward. We can't put one segment of a population forward and leave all of the others behind. We need to move forward together. That's the message of Secretary Clinton in our book.
How do you explain the such a broad swing in attributes in the context of celebrating greatness?
Well, I think that every human being has so many facets to them. We're not two-dimensional flat surfaces. We move in different directions. We think in different ways. And so to be able to bring a wide-ranging group of qualities together, I think that it very much does represent us as human beings, because, as I said, we're faceted, and sometimes we contradict ourselves, and sometimes we have one opinion about something, and the next day a different one. And so it's giving credence and a voice to the changeability.
But isn't that what life is about?
Yeah,
it is. Flexibility
Exactly.
and the capacity to change. And in our culture, Rob, we find that we have begun holding up the power qualities, the qualities of the yay, the ceiling's been broken through and here's a female CEO. And in that context, we have forgotten the balance of here's a CEO of a home with clients that are 2 years, 5 years, and 8 years old. We say to the woman who has chosen a career of being a mother, oh, you just stay at home all day. To which I reply, if you want to consider that question after you have stayed home with a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old for just 5 hours, you will never ask that woman again, what is it you do all day?
But in today's society, there's a lot of dads that are now working out of home and staying at home and bringing up the little 2-year-olds as well. It's just not a mom's job anymore.
That's right.
It's true, and there are more and more dads that are doing it, which I think is awesome. And there's our point where, the balance is maybe moving more towards the center.
All right, ladies, I hate to do this, but I've got to take my news break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Exonation, we're talking to Marianne Radmacher and Liz Kullock. They are the authors of She, A Celebration of Greatness in Every Woman, and we'll tell you how you can get a copy of her book, their book, I should say, on the other side of the news. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this news and some words from our fine sponsors. Don't go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute, paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking about a new book that has hit the market. It's available at local bookstores, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble online. It's entitled She, A Celebration of Greatness in Every Woman. And joining us by telephone are the authors, Marianne Radmacher and Liz Kullock. And Liz, give our listeners the website where they can go and find out more.
The website where you can find more about me is lizkallochdesigns.com. It's Kalloch. There's information about the book, and that's my personal website, so it features a lot of my artwork.
Marianne, would we consider She a book of inspiration?
I would consider She a book of reflective inspiration, yes.
Now, what's the difference between inspiration and reflective inspiration?
when something reflects, it reflects because it is a mirror. And this book gives the person that opens it an opportunity to see themselves in the pages.
So would we classify this book as a self-help book?
I would not. Would you?
No, I was going to say no, and then when you asked that question, Rob, I'm not sure where else it would go other than an inspiration.
Now, what was it like writing the book? What were some of your most memorable moments getting together, collaborating on this book? And was there any one person that you featured out of the 25 that really left an inspiration with each of you?
The collaborative process is something that Liz and I are well used to because we've been doing collaborative efforts over a decade. However, working on a project that so intimately reflected our own aesthetic required a different kind of collaboration for me. I was the CEO of my own corporation for a couple of decades, and so I was more used to making decisions on my own, and this has been a stellar learning opportunity for me to recognize that every decision is a collaborative decision in a process like this, and there isn't room for one person saying, this will be okay. There really is a continuous referencing and check-in process in order to make a collaborative effort come forward.
And how was it for you, Marianne? I'm sorry, Liz.
That's okay. It was a very organic process, and I created the illustrations. The women that are featured illustrated are actually vintage 1800s, early 1900s etchings that I hand colored, and then I created the patterns and the other elements, many of the other elements. But we did there wasn't a set pattern for the way the book came together. Marianne would send me what words that she had written for equality, and then I would create the art to go with. And sometimes I was creating the art and sending it to Marianne, and then she would write the words to go with. So it was a very organic back and forth process, lots and lots of conversation, and we don't live close to each other geographically, so it was all by email and telephone.
Who would you say, besides Secretary Clinton, was one of the most awe-inspiring women that you have in your book?
Jane Kirkpatrick wrote the foreword to our book, and Jane herself is awe-inspiring. She has written over 20 historical fiction pieces featuring the heroes as female characters out of the history book. And I joined her in saying that the balance, the quality of balance, and the person that articulated Kim Hamilton, what balance means to her, really impacted both of us.
So if we were to look at a chart of a man and a woman on a percentage basis, where would you put a woman in today's society compared to a man?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think that things have definitely shifted, and I'm not up on the demographics for actual percentages, but I think one of the things that has shifted is that women are coming together more to encourage and collaborate, and I see more and more groups of women moving away from the model which everybody often associates with women, which is that of competition. I think that there's been a lot of conversation in the last few years. There have been a lot of books written by women talking about the need to come together as a whole, and come together as women, and then also come together as a society with both men and women.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's nice for the women to do all this banding together and to recognize their self-worth and everything else, but unless the men get involved in the process, nothing will ever change.
Well, and that's the key.
Once again, we go back to the beginning where I said everything requires communication, especially in a relationship, and whether the relationship is in business, in the home, work, or play, you still have to have that open line of communication. I remember hearing horror stories and reading horror stories, and ladies, I don't mean to be negative here, but when industry and corporations started opening up to bringing women into higher management, that a lot of these ladies went on power trips and started using the unemployment acts on men, bringing in ladies into their ranks.
Well, the issue of competition over collaboration is one that's particularly topical these days. When you look at the Fortune 500 companies and realize that less than 10% of those companies are governed by females, and that this is even topical, that we have to identify a CEO as a female, is a way of measuring how far we have yet to go. Because when we can say this person's leadership is stellar and this individual has grown this company in a tremendous way without having to say, to qualify that that's a female or an ethnically based individual or an individual with a certain personality preference, when we just let the actions speak for themselves, we will then be at a place of equilibrium between the genders.
No disrespect, but what happens if the process is left to speak for itself and women just can't fit the bill?
Truthfully, I don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think that as we grow as human beings, gender aside, and we learn to look at each other with respect and think more collaboratively, I think that our society, I think our culture can only improve, and I think more and more people are getting glimpses of that and realizing if we don't let everybody in, the world is not a complete force. It's not the complete force that it could be.
It could be, or it needs to be. Because I believe individuality, makes the world. I think that if you put everybody on the same level, you're just asking for trouble, because then you've got what? A bowl of soup.
Well, it is called Mother Earth for a reason, Rob. And if we look at it in a global sense, we are all riding the same ship.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you on that.
Well, do you put your feet on a different planet than I do?
Do you want me to answer that honestly?
Yes.
I think I do.
What planet do you dwell on?
Well, it's called a planet of reality, and what I mean by that is that I don't believe that we're at the stage in the evolution of this species that we call humans where we are all going to hold hands, play a guitar, sit around a campfire, and sing Kumbaya. I think we have a lot of changes to be made, and I think that we have to face one change at a time. Look at the problem we're having with mass media, processing the data that we're having, the changes in society that we're having. There's a lot of changes, and I think we have to take them one at a time.
I hear the word respect, and as I say that word, no guitar is playing. So
well, if no guitar is playing, why did you write your book?
Because our book is based in a spirit of respect. And respect doesn't always have to be accompanied by kumbaya and guitar playing.
No, but respect has to be earned.
Absolutely. It absolutely does.
Yeah. And do you think with all the turmoil that each and every one of us face, male or female, in today's society, that it's going to be easy for anyone? It's not easy for men. It's not easy for women. We have all this social sociological changes that we face on a daily basis. Look what's happening with the marijuana laws. Look what's happening to the gay and lesbian world. Look what's happening to the immigration statuses. Look what's happening in the different religious philosophies. People have a lot on their plates these days, whether they're male or female. So why is it that women believe that they're taking this second jump seat instead of being up front with the pilot?
I'm not sure that everybody thinks they are taking the second jump seat, and I think that, and I hear your point about, we're not all going to hold hands and sing kumbaya, and that there is a certain level of, we're not always going to be on the same playing field. Mm-hmm. But I think that if we can stop long enough to actually listen to each other, hear each other, realize that whether male or female, that people are working towards things, people are trying to work together, that things aren't going to change until we can listen to each other.
So would you say that the biggest obstacle to overcome into getting this equality, isn't that what we're looking at here as equality? It would be to knock down the wall of lack of communication. Is this the biggest obstacle in the path?
Interestingly enough, Rob, I return to the word respect. And I believe that when an individual first looks in the mirror and has self-respect, they then have the capacity to extend respect to others and go about the work of their calling and purpose, which might be breaking down walls or barriers or building up sound communication. But it's when a person looks in the mirror and does not experience acceptance there that they become competitors and harsh and hanging on to their personal power rather than collaborating and helping others rise up with them.
So would you say that this is a problem with some people that stems back to their childhood?
Oh, I think it can. I think that we all move from our childhood to our adulthood with scars of remembered things, and some people, unfortunately didn't get the love and kindness that they perhaps needed growing up to develop their own sense of self-respect. And I think too, it's on us as adults to move into our lives and work at bringing the things into our lives that are going to feed our purpose, that are going to help us grow into the people that we can be, whatever we choose to do. Whether we choose to have children and stay home with them, whether we're working towards being a CEO of a big company, whether we want to, work in the social services regions, all of it applies. And as Marianne was saying, really the place it starts is when we have respect for ourselves, we can go out into the world and meet other people on that level.
But once again, if we were saying at the beginning of this conversation that it all starts at home with the mother, aren't we saying that our mothers have failed us? Because if the mothers hasn't failed us, and if the mothers would have taught us the proper mannerisms and respect for other people, this wouldn't be an issue today, would it?
Well, Rob, I think at the start, you had suggested that it does indeed begin with our mothers, and all parents are a product of their time and their culture and the dynamic that occurs within the shared community. And so in each generation, there are different things that are emphasized and brought forward in the home. So I'm not inclined. I thank my mother for bringing me to the party. I'm grateful that she fed me and provided clothing for me. But I don't hold my mother accountable for what I do know or what I don't know. I know there were many things that I had to learn as an adult because they weren't taught in my home. I was just sharing with Liz earlier, the whole issue of civility and manners was not topical in my home. I got to learn those things as an adult. And I don't think that means my mother failed me. I think it means that she did the best that she could with what she knew and what was available to her.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our final break. X-Zone Nation, we're talking to two authors of the book, A Celebration of Greatness in Every Woman. We're talking to Mary Ann Radmacher and Liz Kullock. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. And by the way, their book is available online at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and all local bookstores. Don't go away.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Exonation, our guests this hour are Marianne Radmacher and Liz Kullock. They're the authors of Shiak, Celebration of Greatness in Every Woman. And it's available at local bookstores and online at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. First of all, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a very interesting hour. Where do you see women in society in the next 10 years?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think I see a more purposeful, steady growth for women. And I think that, like we were talking about in the last segment, getting to that place where you know who you are, where you have self-respect,
right,
and you can move forward into your life, to work in whatever ways that you choose, to live your life in whatever way you choose, and to feel equal within. I mean, we've talked a lot about equality in men and women, but to feel that you are equal to your own task.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'd like to apologize for all the men on Earth who were so stupid. No, wait a sec here. Who are so stupid and naive to think that they are better than women. I'd like to apologize for them. Because men don't think with the head on their shoulders. They think with other parts of the anatomy. And I'll tell you something, and this is no secret. My wife is a wonderful lady. She is my best friend. She is my partner. She is my inspiration. And I've got a great mother. And she taught me a lot of things in life. She taught me how to treat other people as I would want to be treated. She taught us self-respect, self-value, and self-worth. And I think, ladies, that you're doing a fantastic job. And I would urge all men listening to buy this book, because you'll see a side of women that you think that you're too good for. Well, there I'm off my orange crate, ladies.
Rob, that was very generous of you. And I think that the sweetness of the day comes when we don't assert that any of us are smarter or better than the other, but that we each bring a unique blend of talent, skills, and abilities to the table of our community,
You see,
and we all contribute.
And I think what I was saying before about turning into soup, that's what I was getting at. And you said it so wonderfully, that we can't all be the same, because if we were all the same, we wouldn't accomplish anything.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So in our differences, we exert that level of respect that honors you are different than me. I am not, however, better than you.
Well, and that's so true. My wife
I'm different.
My wife is a nurse. I could never be a nurse. I was a policeman. She could never be a policeman. I do radio.
Right.
She can't do radio. So we complement each other. And we bring people into our lives through friendship, through business acquaintances, through networking, that we can, we can work with. And each one makes us stronger. And as a unit, as a network, that's where the strength lies. And by bringing networks together, we help each other be stronger, be wiser, and be more respectful. Ladies, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. I wish you best of success, and I'd love to have you back on the show in the future.
Thank you so much.
Quickly, Marianne, give the people the website where they can go to.
They can find out more about me at marianneradmacher.net or .com, and that's Marianne with an E.
And, of course, Liz, give our listeners your website one more time, dear.
And you can find more out about me at lizkallochdesigns.com, Kalloch.
And Exonation, I'd like you to get a copy of this book. Give it to your mother. Give it to your father. Give it to anybody you know. Give it to those guys in life who think they know it all. The name of the book, once again, is She, a celebration of greatness in every woman. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.